is called Vegans Round the World. It's going to be a 5-part series looking at different aspects of veganism, different groups that are helping move veganism, and reshaping the public view of veganism. So it's director and host James Hoot is the director of it, and he is basically trying to show people that veganism is not the nutty, twiggy lifestyle image that, you know, people sit
not all wearing Birkenstocks or barefoot, and that we've come a long way as we've seen on the show.
Yeah, as we've learned here at ThatChannel.
So really excited about that. It should be they're in production right now, and they're expecting it to come out in the spring of 2019. So the brand Lighter Life, which is a UK dieting company that specializes in a form of intermittent fasting where individuals eat a standard diet for 5 days of the week, and then 2 days out of the week they reduce their calorie intake, which currently is a non-vegan company, but due to their constant, like, daily requests, have just created a vegan lineup for their program. So there are more and more people that are requesting this, and it's just another sign that, you know, veganism is on the rise, and, you know, people that are wanting to be healthy are recognizing plant-based living as a great option to be able to do that. So I was really excited to hear about that. Did you know that a good portion of all electricity produced is not vegan?
No.
You mean it's non-vegan electricity?
Yes, yeah. I was really surprised when I found this out. Apparently, not so much in places like Ontario, where we have things like hydroelectric and nuclear and the gas plants, but in many places they do bioproduction, where they're using animal renderings and or byproducts from the animal industry, be it animal renderings, be it the dung, exactly, the cleanest, all these different things. So Ecotricity is the first certified vegan electricity source. So you can, if you're in the UK currently, but if you are in the UK, in the same way that we can choose different sources like Blue Frog or something like that for our electricity, you can now choose Ecotricity as your fully vegan electricity.
You know, that sounds like an opportunity for someone in the vegan world here in Ontario and Canada to bring this
Jump
kind
all
of
over that,
here.
Yeah. Don't switch on your lights using a toenail or...
So, you know, as vegans, we try to be aware of not using speciesist language as a derogatory term. So we don't want to call somebody a pig. We don't want to say that somebody's a bird brain.
But mind you, I think that a pig is
a beautiful
it's
thing.
a great thing.
It's a compliment.
I think it's a compliment.
It's not an insult
Absolutely.
anymore.
I'll put a positive spin on it.
Exactly. So it's something that we're cognizant of.
Yeah.
And speaking of bird brains, you know, people often use that as a term to indicate that they're not as intelligent. Well, 2 recent studies I just read about this past week trying to blow that away. So one was from the University of Alberta, where they were analyzing the brain structure of parrots. And it turns out that different parts of your brain, dependent on what the animal, how they're using the brain, different parts of the brain are more developed than others. And parrots actually have a very similar brain structure to primates in the front portion of their brain for cognitive abilities, which is why they are able to have, such problem-solving skills and
Like crows are amazing. Yeah.
Which will be my second
okay.
bird of
Well,
so
anybody's ever had a bird as a pet,
exactly
I think knows how smart.
absolutely
They
absolutely
blow you away, yeah.
So what was interesting is like owls have actually a larger brain than parrots, but the portion of the brain that they have developed that is has more connections to it is specializing in being able to track movement and hear sounds.
Which makes sense for where they have
exactly
to live.
where the parrots were able to have more cognitive ability, more complex problem-solving skills, etc.
Plus they can talk.
And they can talk.
Yeah.
Yes, they can.
And squawk.
As you mentioned, crows are extremely intelligent, and the University of Cambridge, Dr. Sarah Gilbert just did a study with a food vending machine for crows, right?
Oh.
Food vending machine for crows, and it was basically to put crows into a situation where they've never come in contact with this. Are they able to learn something new? Are they able to develop tools? Are they able to communicate this information, etc.? So they had this vending machine where if they put a small piece of paper token into the slot, they would then dispense out food. And so they were able to intuit this information relatively quickly, and they were able to start receiving food. They found that if they put the stone that was available into it, they didn't get it, but if they put the piece of paper in, they would. And that was, wow, this is amazing. Then they took it to the next level and had the birds have a piece of paper that was too large. And they were able to remember that if they put the correct size piece of paper
I'm
in,
not surprised.
they were able to get it to dispense the food. So much so that if they put the piece of paper in, they were able to, within seconds, tear the paper to the appropriate size and be able to...
Then you have humans who just shake the machine and kick it, right, when the food doesn't come out,
Exactly.
right?
I don't know though.
Ooh.
Now we've taught crows how to counterfeit.
Exactly.
What's next?
So we are aware of it as vegans, but it's always nice to hear it reaffirmed that a new study proves that the vegan diet reduces the carbon footprint by 73%. 73%. So this extensive study by the University of Oxford reviewed over 40,000 farms in over 119 countries, covering 40 different food types, and which represents 90% of all food that humans consume. And we're able to say that if we go on a completely plant-based diet, we are able to not only looking at land use, freshwater use, water pollution, and air pollution, we're able to improve the environment and impacts by 73%. So much so that if we all went onto a completely plant-based diet and went vegan, reduce the land usage for agriculture by 75%, so the size of U.S., China, Australia, and the EU combined, all of that land combined is how much land we would be able to save by cutting animal agriculture.
In terms of food security for an increasing global population,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's why we do say a lot of times how we can link it to world hunger and things.
It's sad but interesting that I think it's 80% of the people that are dying from famine are actually in the same countries that we for livestock in our countries. It's mind-boggling when you think about that. That the very place where people are starving to death, instead of growing food to be able to feed their population, they're growing food to
Central bank. It's called.
Yeah.
But
More conspiracy.
I've got some good news as well. I don't want to leave things on doom and gloom. So this weekend was a very busy weekend. We had the founders of Anonymous for the Voiceless were here, giving an interview for next week for that. We had a huge Cube of Truth going on here with over 100 volunteers, and we had this going on, and we had over 280 commitments to taking veganism seriously within a span of 2 hours. We had conversations, and over 280 people made the commitment to consider veganism. So this weekend was the Toronto Veggie Parade, 7th annual Veggie Parade, where we had a number of representatives from
I thought it was 8th. Okay, it's 7th. Okay.
Perhaps it was. I thought I had heard 7th, but perhaps
7 or 8.
Toronto Vegetarian Association, the Direct Action Everywhere, Toronto, Mercy for Animals, PETA, Anonymous for the Voiceless, Animal Rights Toronto. We were all there marching, bringing attention, and it was really great. Just, we don't get the lineups that we do, that we're stopping and taking notes and paying attention.
No, I'm just curious because I think I saw the parade last year. I think I even videotaped it up on our ThatChannel site. But I didn't see it this year. Where did it go?
So it started at Queen's Park.
Yeah.
Went up down to Dundas.
That's the thing, right down
back around up to Queen's Park.
Oh, really? Like right
here.
Building here.
Right in front of
That's
you.
where I saw it last year.
Exactly.
Oh.
So we had all those representatives. Vegan Outreach was one of them, which were, and so we'll learn a little bit more about what they're doing.
That's
I know, and
next.
Canadian Coalition for Farm Animals, I think, was in
Canadian
there,
Coalition
and
was
maybe
also there.
Animals Asia or Peace for Paws.
You know what? I believe you were.
And they've both been on the show.
It just
so
continues.
anyway,
It's amazing the numbers of activists that are trying to bring awareness to veganism and wake people up, and doing it from all different angles. And that's what I really love about activism, is that anyone can be doing something. There is some way that you can help become active to try to make people aware of it. So
let's break into some kumbaya.
We could, but instead that we go ahead and we provide a clip today of the amazing parade, and we can go from there.
Okay, fantastic. And then right after that, we got Javran Martel coming up from the Vegan Outreach.
Awesome.
Great.
What's up, guys? So we are at Queen's Park, and as you can see, all the vegan
It's the Veggie Parade! Do you like vegetarianism? Lovely. Do you love veganism? Lovely. Do you love anything in between? Lovely. Do you want to sample some? You can order a soy latte from Starbucks, perhaps. Or choose a veggie burger Maybe try some almond milk. There are so many options. We're rocking to promote conditions for all animals.
Wow, that's a cool last shot we had there, and the parade looks awesome on video. I mean, and you were there, Javran, right? Did you go in it last year?
I did go last year. I don't know, I feel like last year might have been a little bit bigger than this year.
Well, I don't know what I was seeing last year, but this looks awesome.
It was huge.
Yeah, last year was huge.
Either way, it was huge. It was so good to see that much of a turnout.
And a great weather too, right?
And lots of positive, happy energy in the air.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're here from Vegan Outreach, and what's your role there?
I am the Canada Outreach Coordinator.
Nice.
Yay.
Testing you.
Do I remember my position?
Yeah, that's right.
So, tell us a little bit about the organization and about your role there, and maybe specifically having to do with the parade, at least to start.
Yeah, well, we have been around for 25 years now. So the Vegan Outreach has been focusing on outreaching. This is the outreaching tours, where we travel coast to coast across, well, coast to coast for Canada, but other coordinators do them in the States, in Mexico.
Does that mean you get to go coast to coast?
Yeah, I travel from the East Coast to the West
Wow.
Coast, all alone.
I'm not jealous. I'm really not.
The driving can be tough, but it's so great to be able to impact so many people, and we meet so many amazing students that are receptive to the information and wanting to know more, wanting to become activists. Like, there's such a crazy, amazing change happening right now.
Yeah, so how long have you been doing this role for?
2 years with Vegan Outreach,
Okay.
yeah. And then before then, 3 years before, and I was just outreaching and having conversations with the public.
Right. So are you seeing a change? I mean, you're saying, it seems to be reaching like more and more people all the time.
Oh, there's been a boom in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
But even I'd say especially the past 3, there's been a big increase.
I've tried to tell this story all day about my friend Steve, who's a singer, and he's just like a normal guy. But he told me over the weekend that he wants to be vegan. He actually wants to be vegan. He's just having, with all the, all the issues around it, like the
Well, anything new you try, it's gonna...
and just the difficulty of getting vegan food, like whenever you want it.
But that's actually the craziest thing, because I feel like that's something I hear a lot at this. I want to go vegan, I just don't know how, or I tried it, it didn't work for me. I hear those types of things, and that's why I think focusing on like giving people awesome recipes to go about it, like educate. I'm lucky that I have the VRs on hand all the time. The virtual reality headset, sorry.
You didn't bring it today?
But they're, I don't.
Should have strapped it on Hugh's head, huh?
Because that looks cool.
Hugh's. No, I've seen it.
People, oh my god, that's crazy. But I'm lucky because I have the virtual realities to be able to educate people on the cruelty aspect, and then I find a lot of people are wanting to make that switch, so that's where we come in. We talk about how to go about
Facilitate it.
give them, you know, from with the public. But oftentimes at schools, I'll sit down with groups of students, and you know, when I hear the word transition, I'm like, okay, well, if you want to transition, let's make a set plan. No sitting on this for the next however long. Like, it should never take somebody more than 2.5 months, I say max, to do the switch over, right? So you sit down.
Sit them right at their own home.
So, I mean, when it comes to schools, for example, I mean, is there an opportunity there to lobby the, I'm just thinking about cafeterias and stuff like that. Does that ever come up?
A lot of the veg work, like to get more food options and stuff into the cafeterias. My focus is more on the outreaching and having conversations. So, and to be honest, my favorite place to go in the universities and colleges is the food court. It's like the main study area. It's where you can affect so many people. So, but I do think there should be more changes done food-wise and what the students are actually being offered so that they can have the choices.
It's so great, like targeting universities and colleges, like students in general. I mean,
high school students.
That's
too, like,
even better.
They're the tougher ones to get in for your presentations and stuff.
Oh yeah.
But they are so
very
important.
protective schools are with, you know, because they don't want to get involved with parents and stuff. If you start bringing in the other side of the story, they don't mind having the Dairy Bureau come in and do a presentation. But
it's insane. But I actually know a lot of high school students that they get hooked. You tell them a couple things, and you know they're listening to you. If you relate, like it's so important for us to relate.
Now we have a picture here of a pig.
Yes, we do.
Do we have a slideshow here?
I think Chris is just being very creative and just.
Well, honestly, this looks like a lot like one of the shots of in the virtual reality, and the pig one is a very. Well, they're all very, very tough to watch.
I actually wanted to ask you, what are people seeing in the virtual goggles?
They experience the life of a pig, a cow, or a chicken headed to slaughter. So their whole life experience. With the pig video, they did choose more of your factory farm style footage. And then with the dairy and the chicken videos, they chose more of the humanely raised style stuff so that people could see that even in the best conditions for the animals, there's still so much cruelty going on, and they're still always being sent to slaughter. And
it always ends the same way,
always,
no matter what.
Almost always, yeah. And a lot of people will always be shocked at the end with the slaughter scenes. You'll see people reaching for the chickens, trying to grab them off the lines.
Trying to save them.
And you know, there's one scene with the cat or the pig actually, where one of the pigs falls off of the hook and falls into his own blood, and the lady slaughterhouse worker laughs. And a lot of people will take it off and be like, I can't believe she freaking laughed. Like, you know, like, it just, they connect. It's really powerful stuff. You get a lot of tears with those virtual realities.
So, just curious, what's your own vegan story? Have you always been vegan, or did you have to convert at some point?
Yes. I unfortunately was not born vegan. Darn it.
Well, I guess we were born vegan. We just didn't stay that way.
Stay that way, yeah. I was actually born and raised on a pig farm. So I was around that.
Audible gasp.
Crazy. And guess what? Dad started his vegan journey 2 months after I did.
Really?
Wow. But yeah, just growing up around the farm, and my uncles are all dairy farmers and beef farmers and stuff. So seeing it, I never really thought of it too much. And then it's, you know, my sister's friends, she had 2 friends that were vegetarian. And then from that point on, I really started like thinking the whole like ticker when I was 17, 18 years old.
Smart
like,
kid.
They can do it. Yeah. I can do it too. So I did the vegetarian thing for 8 years before going vegan. And that's why I think it's so important for us to discuss in a compassionate way with people what's happening in the egg and the dairy industry, because if I would have known, I would have not gone back. If somebody would have shown me the videos, the footage, I would have made the changes to veganism right away.
Like fast. Why did you go? Did you go when you started being vegetarian? Did you do it for health reasons or compassion reasons? Or?
I would say it was for health reasons
Yeah.
at that time. I was a young girl, and you know the pressures of society and weight
All that
loss
was
and
part of
stuff,
it.
all that
Yeah.
chaos. But very quickly after,
I'm just
I
curious,
started realizing the animals.
Sorry, where was
Sorry.
the farm?
In Manitoba.
Oh, Manitoba.
Yeah.
And then how did your parents, your family react when you did that, being pig farmers?
My dad's pretty open. My mother had a little bit more of a harder reaction to it. But I did go vegan and then overnight went activist right away. So I feel like it was a really big shock to everybody because I was in that angry vegan phase and I was coming across. I had some punches thrown at me, and some chairs thrown at me. Like I was the classic angry vegan.
Was that because you were young?
This was only 5 years ago. Like, I should have known better, but everybody needed to know what I knew, and now I've learned my tactics. So my they're coming around.
Do they still have the farm?
No. They gave up the farm when I was 5. So Dad gave up the farm a long, long time ago, and then just recently when I started my vegan and going vegan, he started his little journey too.
Oh, that's
Amazing.
It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing, yeah. So,
And a side note, something interesting that I like to say about that too is something he admitted to me. He admitted that he is still, being that he worked he had a pig farm and he's seen all the cruelty and he was part of it for so long, he's openly admitted to me that he feels he doesn't have the empathy, like he knows he should have the empathy for the animals, but he had to be so disconnected from it for so long. But his reason still though, he still gives up meat and doesn't eat meat because he knows it's wrong, the cruelty that we're inflicting, even if he had to disconnect from those feelings for so long, he still knows it's wrong and he's still,
that's
you know,
good.
so it's like, come on guys, if a pig farmer can do it, like anybody can do
Yeah.
it. Like seriously though. Sorry.
interesting. I mean, I'm just thinking about, we've talked about it before that even, I'm thinking about the woman in the VR that left, right, when the pig fell.
Yeah.
That the people that work in the industry are also victims of the whole culture that animal exploitation is. the
Unless they're a
norm, right?
psychopath. Leaving them aside, these other people,
You
are
do have a lot of good
That's true.
people working there that
But-
don't.
But they have to disconnect in a
Yeah.
sense. Otherwise, they're going to go crazy, really.
yeah.
And
Well,
you
they
hear the
suffer
post
from all
there. Yeah, I was
kinds
gonna
of
say, there's-
PTSD.
It can't
It's
be
very
easy.
prevalent. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, what's prevalent?
PTSD,
Yeah.
post-traumatic stress disorder. It's very prevalent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so vegan outreach. So what are you guys doing next?
We are focusing a lot more on our virtual realities, and I'm about to go for my 3rd tour, which starts in September, and we're doing a little swap out this year, and I'm kind of interested in if anybody is curious to potentially come and intern with me. I would love to have help on the road this time.
Oh,
and
there
switch
you
it up
go.
a little bit.
Really?
Oh, there's a shout out.
So yeah, if anybody is interested, we can link up my name. And
Absolutely.
You guys can add me on Facebook, and I would love to have that because that's pretty much what we're going to be starting to focus on is more virtual realities at the schools and setting up the events, the presentations, and we're doing PEI all the way to the West Coast again. So usually
What about Nova Scotia?
Nova Scotia gets hit too. Yeah,
Newfoundland?
Newfoundland does not get hit. I know. It's so
We'll go to Newfoundland for you. We're going to Newfoundland
Are
in
you guys?
August. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, and
Well,
there's
we keep
something-
saying it. We are going though.
Yeah, so that's our main focus is just trying to continuously grow the activism and the movement any way we can in Canada and really open up eyes of students and the public and whoever we talk to. And one of the big things that I noticed last year was just making connections super important as a whole with whoever you're talking to, because a lot of people have crazy stories that they try and like sideline and derail a conversation to, and I found like connecting with people was really, really important in having them like remember the information that we're saying
Yeah.
and having them break down their walls to actually go vegan. And so let's just make a vegan world as much as possible. with peace and
Absolutely.
love. Like,
So besides that skill of being able to relate to people or whatever, what would other key skills be for the people that you're trying to swap into that position? If if they want to apply?
The basic startup stuff for outreaching is, you know, when you're out there, the stuff that we all know, like smile, be happy, and extend your arm, like these little small things. But I notice there's a lot more detail that can go into outreaching that can actually affect the conversations a lot more powerfully. So that's where I say, like, you know, bring your personality into the mix. There's so many people that we aspire and like look up to now, but at the end of the day, when you're on the streets, trying to be like somebody else, if that's not how you naturally act,
No.
people are gonna
No,
see
you can't do
that.
that.
So
Yeah.
be you.
So
know?
you
To
gotta
be
do it.
genuine.
Yeah, and bring your personality to the mix. Like, you know, can make the connections with those people. Like, breaking down that wall is going to be so important.
Yeah, sincerity is a good thing.
And there's that quote, people won't remember what you said or did, they'll remember how you made them feel. So if we make people feel really good and they drop the wall, they're more likely to remember the information that was said, because they're like, oh, that girl was so awesome. She listened to what I had to say and she cared, you know? So it's like anything we can do to get people to really remember it. So not just like taking the information and like putting it away and not
Yeah.
thinking about it later. I
Flicking
want
it in
them
the
to be
garbage.
like, I want to go through that book later. I want to research what she
Yeah.
gave me. And
Okay, great. So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you or the organization?
Facebook for me, so Jevran Martel. They can like you guys can maybe write that
Yeah.
down.
Go ahead, spell it out. because-
JEVRANNE, and then Martel, MERTEL, and just add me and send me a message saying that you're potentially interested in traveling across the East Coast. And we can discuss the West Coast, because the West Coast is a lot of driving, so I don't want to torture too many people with that one. But I would love to have some help for the East Coast, so that would be link up with me on Facebook or Instagram, if that's how people work, is Grow Me Love, so GROW_ME_LOVE.
And then
And
vegan
those would be-
outreach itself.
And then vegan, and that's just to come in contact with me with Vegan Outreach Canada. But if you guys want to follow Vegan Outreach, the organization,
Yeah.
it's just Vegan Outreach, and you can go on Instagram or on Facebook for those. And the webpage, veganoutreach.org, super easy.
Okay.
Okay,
Vegan outreach.
fantastic. Okay, good luck. Sounds like fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you guys want to join?
I do.
Absolutely.
We sleep in my car. It's a
Oh.
good time.
Is it a
I think
station
that was a
wagon?
deal breaker.
You're like, oh shoot.
Sounded good until we got to that part.
All right, well, we're gonna go.
I'm just kidding, you guys. You don't actually sleep in my car. We
Oh.
will have places
No,
lined
you're
up.
just saying that.
Wait a second. I don't want people thinking that you actually just gonna cross.
I
the
actually
road
thought
all
you
the
did
time.
sleep at the car.
I do when I'm alone.
See,
but
that's
if
what I
I
would
had
do.
people with me,
Really?
I'll line some.
We'll have to go
places
inspect the car. Okay,
up.
thanks,
Awesome.
Jeff.
Thank you.
All right, okay. Quick break. Wait, we got a video, right?
Yeah.
And then we're gonna come back with Taddy and Carol, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Channel.com.